What's up, everybody? Welcome to our review of Spider-Man Homecoming. My name is Brett, and this is my best friend, Ted. This is our Spider-Man superfan special guest, Matt Ayersman. Thanks for joining us today, Matt.
Thank you for having me. I'm stoked for this. This will be fun.
As always, we'll begin with spoiler-free discussion. You'll know when we move into the spoilery territory. Without further ado, here's our RYE review.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, how do we feel about the movie overall?
Do you want like a number rating or just like how I feel?
How did you feel walking out of that theater?
I felt like that movie was everything it needed to be. That we have done so many Spider-Man reboots. Do we need another flippin' Spider-Man? Oh my gosh. And yet, I was saying earlier that Tobey Maguire invented Spider-Man for the big screen. And you're like, okay, this is what Spider-Man is like in movies. And then he did 3 movies and it was like, maybe he shouldn't be allowed to do this anymore. and then Andrew Garfield comes in and you're like, okay, like this is great. Like he's much more Spidey-ish. And then Tom Holland, I was just like the standard Spider-Man things, like the swinging and the acrobatics and the flipping and climbing up over things. I was like, he's doing it right. Like more right than it has been done thus far. And that got me psyched. I thought the story was excellent and like that the character of both Spider-Man and Peter were so beautifully fleshed out and not compromised on, and there was no license taken with it. I thought it was a beautiful translation. What do you think? As the guy who really
I know,
cares.
I'm like the resident Spider-Man guy, and I liked it. I didn't love it.
Okay.
And I just got here from seeing it, so it's like fresh in my mind.
What is the premier Spider-Man film in your mind?
Ooh, that's tough. I guess I'm the diehard Spidey fan in that I love all of them for different reasons.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a hard time ranking them. I watched all of them leading up to this one. So I watched all Tobey Maguire, all Andrew Garfield, and I watched Civil War. And so I've got them all in my mind. And I love Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I think I like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man the best.
Okay.
But I think Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies had better villains.
I would agree.
I liked Green Goblin and Doc Ock a lot. The third one,
yeah.
I don't know how deep we're going to go into this. The third one had its own issues. But I love Andrew Garfield and I love Doc Ock and Green Goblin. So I don't know where I'd rank this one yet. I think I need to see it again and I need to see where they go from here before I can really rank them. And I don't want to go too much farther without spoilers because I have a lot to say about
that's fair.
things.
Yes.
No, that's totally fair. You kind of mentioned you thought that Tom Holland was one of the big strengths.
Yeah.
What did you think some of the movie's strengths were?
Yeah, I think Tom did really good, and I think he's going to do well in this universe.
In the MCU.
I think he's actually a high school kid.
Yeah.
He's not 25 or whatever. So he fits the age bracket, and he's a lovable loser, which one knock I've heard against Andrew Garfield is that he was too cool.
He was pretty cool.
He was too awesome. Like he wasn't the nerdy Peter Parker that a lot of people kind of expect. And so I get that, and I think Tom did a good job at being like you like him and you want to root for him, but he's still this nerdy kid who has really nerdy friends, and he doesn't know how to talk to girls at parties, and he's very likable, and I think he played both Peter Parker and Spider-Man well too.
Sure. And you had mentioned some of the things or you had hinted at.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got some weak points.
Yeah.
It's not your favorite. Both of you, Matt, let's start with you. What did you think, without going into spoilers, were some knocks against it?
Probably my biggest knocks, I don't think are actually this film's fault. My major concerns are, I understand it's hard to tell the same story 3 times.
Sure.
And so I feel for Marvel because they're having to start from scratch, but we already know so much about the character. And so
They didn't do his origin,
right,
for which I'm psyched.
I don't know how much we're going to get into now
I don't
or
think
later.
I don't think that's much of a spoiler.
Okay.
In that, you don't see Uncle Ben's
You don't
death.
see Uncle Ben.
You don't see the Spider-Man.
You don't see the spider bite at all. And so on one hand, I'm glad they did that because that story is so familiar to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it kind of took away some of the emotional ties because, like, I felt like Peter didn't have as much to fight for as the previous Peter Parkers did.
I get that.
So I kind of feel like Marvel had to do something new, so I understand why they didn't include Uncle Ben, or they didn't even talk about how he got his powers, really. They barely touched on it.
Yeah.
And I think that was, on one hand, that was smart, but on the other hand, you kind of lose a little bit of the connection with the character because you don't see all that build up.
Sure.
It's just like, oh yeah, he's like awesome and he's part of the Avengers.
Yeah.
There's not that kind of slow build to becoming a superhero. He kind of is a superhero at the beginning.
Yeah. A struggling superhero, but still.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, when you start off the movie with an awesome suit.
Right. A really awesome suit.
Yeah.
We should talk more about the suit.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to that.
Ted, what were some of the weak points did you feel like? Maybe there weren't any weak points in Ted's mind.
maybe not.
It was the perfect film.
Perfect film.
I think it was perfect with a bunch of qualifiers.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
it was perfect for what it was, what it needed to be, what it had to overcome, what we've already seen, what
Yeah.
we're sick of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it was a very self-aware movie, and so the writers of it did a really great job of being like, you know what everybody's sick of? Spider-Man can just anywhere, no matter where he is, there's always a higher building.
Yeah.
I remember on like the Spider-Man on Nintendo 64, we would climb up to like the highest skyscraper in the whole game, and we're like, I'm on top of the world, and then you can
still go higher somehow.
you web up and you swing away, and it's like, where is it connecting? What is it connecting to? And this movie was like, this is a problem, and addressed that.
Yeah.
And there were bits where like his arc was too, like his web was too long, and he's like and drags on the ground, and I'm like, I've always wanted to see this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you
Yeah.
that it does have some serious limitations, but because I went into it being like, how are they going to, I mean, movies, if I have low expectations, it's really easy to blow my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly what I was looking for was like, how are they going to write a Spider-Man story that I am going to care about, that I'm not going to just be like, again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, with all these qualifiers, I was like, this is perfect for what it is, because I was looking at it mostly for the story.
Yeah.
And for, like, the character, as opposed to I wasn't there for the emotional part, really.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it didn't strike me until the very end of the film, like, the last 6 seconds of the film, that I went, not a lot of Aunt May in here. Mm-hmm. And so then when you were like, there's not a lot of emotional, I was like, oh, he's totally right.
Aunt May is such a different, and
Yeah.
spoilers, but Aunt May is she's not a grandma anymore.
Right.
Right? She's a fun aunt
Right.
who is hot.
She's young,
and
right.
I mean, like,
She's young and cool
they
and
play
that
with
kind of
that.
thing.
They
Yeah.
play with that, right?
Right. Which I always thought that was weird that she was always so old.
Yeah.
Like, why is Peter Parker's aunt like 80?
Yeah.
Well, like, see, her parents had her much younger sister when she was... I was just making that up, I don't know. But yeah, it's always elderly.
Yeah.
What
So,
do you think, Brett?
Oh, yeah, I guess I haven't really shared my
Yeah.
opinion. I liked it a lot. I thought it's one of Marvel's strongest solo superhero films.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it in the top 3. I would put it as probably my favorite Spider-Man so far.
Wow.
And that's knowing that we're building to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Did it feel like Ant-Man to you guys? I was reminded of Ant-Man but the humor, I don't know exactly what it was, but it had the same feel as Ant-Man.
Sure, I see that comparison. I think for me the age difference between Ant-Man and Spider-Man made this comedy more not relatable, but almost acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ant-Man was a comedy and is like, oh,
Just-
Paul Rudd's funny. He's a comedian.
Goofy criminals. Yeah.
Goofy criminal that's fun, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily realistic. I'm like, this is a high school kid, and when Ned yells out, Peter, no Spider-Man,
Yeah.
it's like, Ned, no,
Right.
do it. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like the comedy was more natural.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I felt like I really liked Ant-Man,
Mm-hmm.
and I laughed a lot. But it didn't feel as Marvel to me
yeah.
as Spider-Man Homecoming
Yeah,
did.
I can see that.
And I don't know why that is. Well, I mean, like, the tone of the movie was different. I'm interested to see if you guys think that the movie was, especially because you're talking about how you think it's one of the better standalone films, do you think that it was helped to get there or hurt, perhaps, by the fact that more than most of the other standalones, it had supporting characters that are
yeah.
main, like,
Sure.
headlining MCU guys? Like,
Right.
are we into spoilers yet? I mean, like, I don't know how
Let's-
much of a spoiler it is.
Let's hop right into spoilers. I think if you haven't seen it, we can all. It's safe to say you should probably go see it.
Oh yeah, go see
Like,
it.
go see it.
Hands down.
Even
go
if
see
Matt is a
it. No,
Debbie
I,
Downer.
no. I still loved it. I just love Andrew Garfield.
That's okay. The
That
man's
is
got
okay.
hair.
That is okay. He's got
And
Yes.
panache.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And an accent that you totally waste when you cast him as Spider-Man.
But so does Tom Holland.
I was gonna say, you know, Tom Holland's British, right?
Not as good a hair, though. He's not.
He's young. He'll grow
He's not
into
as,
it.
like,
Yeah.
sexy British because he's a minor. Come on.
Okay, so spoilers, go.
Should probably stop staring before it gets creepy, though. Too late. You guys are losers.
Hey, something that probably isn't in your points that I want to mention. They like hit a bunch of their like social justice points and like
did.
political correctness. Like they had not just a token black girl, they had 2 black girls, and they weren't portrayed as like shady or like lesser. Like these girls were both like decathlon champs.
Yeah.
They were the 2 smartest girls. They are both love interests. Now we're into spoilers. Like the whole
Yeah.
time I'm like, never heard of this character before. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe I
Right.
missed a couple series, but like I've never heard of this Liz character. She can't be permanent. And then, and like right before, like as he's on his way to go pick her up for prom or for homecoming, I was like, oh, I think I just figured something out. But they have like an interracial marriage, or
Yeah.
bicultural is what they're calling it, a bicultural marriage.
Yep.
And that's really cool. And then, like, that at the end they're just like, by the way, Peter Parker's wife is black, just want you to know this. It's also Zendaya. Just want, like, they just leave you with that, like, boom, we've got a black girl who's going to be the hot chick for the whole time Tom Holland plays
Yeah.
this. Like,
Yeah.
The Mary Jane.
smart.
Yep.
Or I guess not even Mary Jane.
No.
MJ.
MJ.
I was,
MJ.
a little bit of a retcon there.
I thought that was
in a way.
clever.
I thought it was. I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little cheesy, but I was like, oh, I see what you did there.
Again, it's
I
a
like
little
it.
bit
Because if
of-
there was a girl named Mary, even, we would be
Right.
like,
That's gotta be heard. Yeah.
Mary Jane.
Yeah.
So yeah, Michelle was a good way to keep it undercover.
Yeah.
I like that.
So you kind of mentioned you saw the whole Liz being
Not at first. Like, I didn't question not
Yeah.
seeing a
That-
girl's parents
that
because we're in
caught-
a high school.
everyone in our theater off guard.
Yeah.
Really? There was
Yeah,
a collective
There
gasp?
was a collective gasp
Yeah.
when he opened the door.
See, I was
surprised. I kind of feel like I should have seen it coming, but I was surprised in the moment.
Right.
It's like, oh, of course. Of course that has to be
Because
her.
you're like, they're high schoolers. It's taking place, like, in a high school and on the streets. You don't care, like, who are Ned's parents.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care.
True.
I mean, I'm not gonna guess which nation from that part of the world he's from, but like, we don't care who Ned's parents are. So why would we care who Liz's parents are?
Right.
Until he's on his way to her house, and then I'm like, we don't know
Wait a
who her
second.
parents are. We know that guy has a. And I turned to my wife and I was like, oh no.
It's happening.
Like as he's walking up to the door, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And he opens the door and I'm like, I hate being so smart. I was like, dang it, I'm right. I'm so smart and intelligent and good looking. I hate my life.
I loved how that dynamic played out because I really feel like that reinvigorated the whole third act because it was
Yeah.
like, okay, things are like not great because he lost his suit,
Right.
and the Vulture's out there, but you know he's he's on good terms with Liz. They're going to the homecoming dance.
Yeah.
And then, whoa.
It needed a big twist.
And that whole car drive was just had me on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Right. Yeah, it was
that
good.
was so good. That was Michael Keaton.
He did a great job.
I thought he did a great job.
I
felt like he was maybe a little limited by the Marvel supervillain cliches, but I mean, when he did get his chance to shine, he blew it away.
I mean, that car scene when we get the close up of his face and he's chewing him out, I was scared, man. I was like, Michael Keaton, dude, you're creeping me out a little bit right now. Yeah, but he did great.
After I knew of Michael Keaton and I've seen some of the Batmans, but like he didn't really leave that big an impression on me until I watched Birdman. And so with
what about Jack Frost though?
See, I didn't really.
I'm just kidding.
But like with Birdman,
so you like him in movies where he's a bird,
or bat,
or bat.
Yeah,
as long as there's something to do with flight and wings, I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
But like the Birdman is like the role that he did in my mind. Like that's what I think of. And so in that he plays like I'm coming unhinged, and it's so and he has such like a dark vibe in that I was way more scared because I had seen Birdman. So I was like, oh my god, he's so capable of violence.
Yeah.
And then at the end I was like, he played that villain like, as a human, as a father, as a human.
Yeah.
Because so much of the time, it's just like, so much of the time these supervillains are villainous for villainy sake. It's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, and then it's like, let me save you, and he's like, oh, good, I'm not gonna die. No, I'm still gonna kill you, like the whole time, and you're like, I can't stop this guy without killing him, a la Joker, for example. But I loved that he was like, I'm doing this not to her, I'm doing it for her.
Right.
He's twisted, but like, I can totally see how that would happen.
He's relatable in a way most superhero villains aren't.
Right.
The movie opens with
him losing
his job.
Right.
So that sets up some of the tension there, and it just snowballs, and you can totally see how, even if I can't actually see how, but you can put together in the movie world, in your suspense of disbelief, how that happened.
Right. It sort of reminded me in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3, the Sandman. It was in a similar position where he was this bad villain who stole and hurt people, but he was doing it to get medicine for his daughter. And like, you feel for the villains when they have that more grounded moral reason why they're fighting for something.
Yeah.
So I felt the same thing with Vulture. He did a good job with that.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about some of the supporting cast earlier, but talk specifically about who you thought was the best and who you thought maybe didn't do quite as well.
That guy Flash, the guy who played Flash.
Yeah.
He did a great job. I wanted him to like.
He was so annoying.
I was kind of hoping. I was like, I know he won't die in this elevator, but if they have to have one fatality, like to keep it gritty, I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, take my trophy, you. Beep, you.
Yeah. He was super annoying. Yeah.
I loved that they stole his car.
It trashed it.
Yeah,
totally trashed it.
I think one of my favorites, who we don't often think about, is Karen.
Yeah.
His suits was totally out of left field, and she was awesome. That was Jennifer Connelly voiced Karen.
I knew that voice was familiar, but I didn't check it.
He gave her a lot of personality.
Yes.
It was kind of cool to see her like play with Peter. But like, are you sure you want to do this? And that kind of stuff.
Tell her, man.
Yeah, that was cool.
As a resident Spider, I'm guessing that you've read a bunch of the comics, right?
Not many. Some.
Okay.
More than me.
I've read.
Well, if you've never not read any, then yes.
I've not read any.
Okay.
I've read
a few, not very many.
I've read like not all of the series, and not all of the series that I have read, but I've read a lot of them in general. Mostly pre-2006. That was when I was like, wait a minute. I know everything about Star Wars and the Avengers, and Lord of the Rings and girls aren't that into me. Maybe there's a correlation. And so there's like a steep drop from like, I read all the printed material to like, nope, not anymore for like, and then in college I was like, whatever. But anyway, so I don't claim to like know all of this stuff, but to my knowledge, they've not done anywhere. In the comment section below, tell me if I'm wrong. I've never seen an AI for his suit before, which I am a nerd like that, and so I was thinking like, that's so nice. Like Tony, really, like this was a passion project on the side for Tony. Like that he didn't design this for saving the world and for profit or for any of these things. Like he designs the Iron Man suits because of like obsession and need and like all these other things. And like every time it was out of necessity and then it was out of obsession, and like it's always like, but what if, and I have to save the world. And the Spider-Man suit must have been something that he like made in his spare time, like not billing anything. It costs all this money, and he wrote like a really great AI.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like a copy and paste of Friday or Tuesday. I don't think he had. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that he did a really great job. I thought I was like, that's cool. Tony really cared, even though Tony's like, oh yeah, it's whatever.
It was a cool suit. And one of the kind of main plot points of the movie is, I can't remember the exact quote, maybe you guys can help me, but Tony says something like, if you can't do this with the suit, you don't deserve it. Or like that whole, you need to be,
if you're nothing without the suit.
There it is.
Yeah, then you don't deserve it.
So it's that, I liked that concept where Peter has to be a hero whether or not he has these AI effects with him. And so I think that was a cool plot point to kind of bring the movie throughout. But one thing, I was talking to my wife Tilly, and one thing she was talking about was the other two, so Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, they didn't rely on anybody else nearly as much as this new one did.
Yeah.
And that it's an interesting kind of mentor-mentee relationship. It's intriguing with Iron Man, but it also, in my opinion, it sort of takes away from Spider-Man a little bit. It kind of weakens his awe and his appeal, because it's a couple times he got in trouble and Tony had to come bail him out. And,
See, I think we'll get that in the next one.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll build on that
Yeah.
concept throughout the next few movies, but
Because I have a theory that Tony Stark's not surviving Infinity War.
Oh, yeah, he did have that premonition. Anyway, in reference to that, having a background in youth ministry, as a youth pastor, watching a movie about a teenager who's like dealing with all of this garbage and like doing it really well, I'm like, that is just not realistic at all. and like, the cool thing is that the history of Peter Parker, and like, you know, then we have him like married later, and he's like an adult, and then he's like in his 30s, and he never really ever hits his 40s, but he's in his 30s for like a good 60 years or so. And so like when Peter's an adult, that makes a lot of sense for him to just like be his own standalone hero. And he was never really like, I remember playing the Spider-Man 2 game on the original Xbox that accompanied the Spider-Man 2 movie, and like at no point did I really feel like I'm playing as a high school student.
yeah, right,
Like, you know.
right.
And Tobey Maguire, it's like, okay, so Spider-Man's in high school because Spider-Man's in high school.
Yeah.
But like at no point did I feel like Tobey Maguire was a high school student.
Right.
And Andrew Garfield sold it a lot better, but I felt like it was really great that that Peter did have this mentee relationship, and that Peter was like, I'm super out of my depth. It's normal for a kid who's like super intelligent and has good judgment and has really great grades. It's normal for a kid at that demographic with those characteristics to look to adults for like support, guidance, equipping.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, I can't ask my aunt because she's gonna freak out, and I'm like trying to fight crime here.
She does freak out.
She does freak out. That last line. So
PG-13. That was the one time, and they didn't quite finish it. I was happy with that, but anyway, like
cut it off.
that, you know, that he is like, okay, I need to be equipped somehow.
Right.
Whereas, like any 15-year-old that any of us know, and I love hanging out with high school students, and like there's so many awesome things about them. But I don't know a single high school student that could just go do the Peter Parker thing, not end up dead or like in so much trouble at the very least, and like totally ruin things. And so it didn't. Yeah. So to me, you're right. It does reduce the awe. Mm-hmm. I was just like, that makes so much more sense. And we are constantly in our generation and like this sub-generation right after us, constantly just telling each other how to do life as if we know. Mm-hmm. And it's getting us all into worse and worse trouble. And I just think, I thought it was like, how often do you see subtly them saying like, ask an adult who's qualified. Mm. He didn't look to his PE coach, who was just like, that was fair. Like, he doesn't look to...
Shout out to Hannibal Buress.
He doesn't look to any of, like, the unqualified adults. It isn't just, like, a head nod, like, oh, you have to go ask an adult before you can cross the street. It was like, Tony knows what he's doing. Yeah. Why don't I get help?
Yeah.
And I dug that, because that does give him a launching pad. Sets him up for success.
Yeah. And I think that did make Peter really relatable, because I remember when I was in high school, or even college, I was like, I can do whatever I put my mind to.
Even last
year. I can be an Avenger. Like, I related to that, like, I don't need to be doing this stupid neighborhood Spider-Man stuff. It's not for me to be an Avenger. Like, I think that made him very relatable. Yeah. So in that sense, it makes sense to have Tony take him under his wing.
I really liked the moment when he was pinned under the concrete. Mm-hmm. I thought that was shot. I was claustrophobic watching that and hearing him. He sold that performance.
He played that so well, and I was like...
That was the one scene that...
I was like, I'm there with you, man. I have been there.
I was like,
not crushed by cement, but
I have... Come on, Spider-Man, come on!
Panic cried before.
Yeah.
I get you.
So when he does, reach inside himself and...
Reach inside his super strength.
Yeah.
Touche.
Right.
Superhero movie. It's fine.
I'm glad they had that moment, because that was the one emotional moment that I think Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield had those moments that we remember that was an emotional moment.
Ugly cries of every movie.
Yeah.
Super pivotal.
Or even like films. When Emma Stone, when she dies, all those have like a really emotional moment. Mm-hmm. And this one, that was that moment for me where it was like, I relate to you and you're showing emotion, and I love that scene too. That was good.
I'm really upset that you brought back up Emma Stone's death.
I know. See?
I forgot how much that wrecked me. I'm pretty upset right now. But I'll be okay.
It's hard to beat Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, man. They just were so good on screen together.
Crazy chemistry.
They did. Too bad it didn't work out in real life.
True. Ouch, another downer.
That's not a hug. I'm just grabbing the door for you. All right, kid. Good luck out there.
I got a little tired of Ned.
I grew to like him. I didn't like him at first.
Yeah.
I grew to like him. I like the man in the chair. Mm-hmm. Like that whole idea was fun to play with, I think.
Yeah. I identified with being like the fat kid and all that kind of stuff. And I had the good sense to not wear a hat in high school, but I very much...
But it gives him confidence.
I mean, it's true that it's not so much like getting less fat as it is just getting more confident and comfortable with it. But like I identified with him, and like he was a great foil for Peter, and he was a great way for there to be some exposition without it just seeming like, and now we're going to stand here for an obscenely long talking head shot while we explain something.
Yeah.
Like, he was great for that. And he was a great way for Peter to react to situations in his life, especially in his real life. Like, Ned was an anchor to his everyday life. That Ned, although was constantly like, can you do this? Do you spit acid? Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Like, although he was obsessed with the superhero part, his friendship is what kept Peter, like, anchored to, like, eating and sleeping and classes and stuff. He's like, there's a part where he was talking about, like, he had something very important that he had to go do, and he's like, they're on, like, I can catch them. They're on the ferry. And he's like, but we have a Spanish test.
Twist, yeah.
And I was like, they're at the same level of importance to this kid because he's 15.
Like,
yeah.
He's like, but I can't fail this test. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
So, I mean, that that was how I felt about Ned. Like, I thought that to the story he was super important, and as a character foil, I thought he was super important. But like, would I want to hang out with him? I'd want to build that Lego set with him. And
That's true. It's pretty sweet Lego.
Oh my gosh, I
Lego
love that
set.
Lego set. But other than that, I don't know if I'd really be like, bro, let's hang out.
Yeah. No, I like Ned. I thought he did. He had really good comedy. I thought that
He was funny.
and maybe this is just the second act of the movie getting too long, but I just felt like it was kind of repeat. It just kind of got to a point where it's
Same
like,
bit over and over.
okay, yeah, we get, but at some point Ned's got to realize that it's time to move on to the next thing, whatever that is.
Right.
In his relationship with Peter as Spider-Man, and that just kind of felt like it was going on
Yeah.
in a cycle for a while. But then you're right, at the end when he was the man in the chair,
Yeah.
it was
back and
awesome.
forth between the computers.
It brought
and-
it back.
Yeah,
and,
that was cool.
Yeah.
I loved also, like, it's not a big deal, but in every film, especially with superheroes, and they do have the guy with the chair, and like everybody has access to these like totally black hat like elite hackers that are just like,
Yeah.
I'm in the NSA. You want his phone number? Billions of dollars. Like they just like have no problem. And I loved that they had a high school student who understood the coding languages enough to be like, there are a bunch of subroutines in here, dude. Like, we got it hooked up to a USB drive. They weren't functioning on some fictional Stark OS.
Right.
This wasn't like, I'm sitting here with holograms, like, swiping around and, like, all sorts of stuff. Like, it's a kid with an actual laptop that you can buy that's realistic for a high school student to own.
A Sony laptop.
A Sony
of
laptop.
Course.
Of course.
Can't be Apple.
Because,
Of course.
yeah. And I think it's...
That Mac OS isn't compatible.
Right.
Of course. But, like, that they had a kid who understood programming languages, that they peeled back a layer of the suit, and that they've got, like, a USB cord. It's not like... It's not just, like, scan that.
Magical
Right.
transmission.
Like, that they
Right.
were... That was grounded, and that was real. And that a lot of kids are really learning programming languages online, and... I don't know, I thought that whole bit about him, like, being a hacker-ish, like... I thought that was actually realistic and healthy and made way more sense than any of the other hackers. Because he wasn't trying to, like, crack somebody's encryption. He was just like, Tony probably doesn't think a high school student's gonna get in there with a USB drive.
Yeah. How to figure out how to
messing with his
disable the
code.
baby monitor or
And
whatever.
yeah.
Training wheels.
Training
like,
wheels and
he
data
hit-
monitor.
He hit enter. Like, like that Tony was probably just like, nobody knows I'm doing this, it's fine, like, nobody's ever gonna know.
Yeah.
I'll just remote, like, that this kid was like, oh, well, it's here, and, like, he did not protect it or anything. I loved that.
There's a ton of other subsystems in here, but they're all disabled by the training wheels protocol.
Did you guys follow the Donald Glover, kind of the backstory?
I loved the Donald Glover parts.
Yeah.
He showed up, and I was like, love Donald Glover.
Okay, I have to confess. I read this. I probably wouldn't have caught it if I didn't read it.
Was he Miles?
No.
No, he's not Miles, but there's a fan theory out there that so at one point in the movie he mentions that his nephew
Yeah, he's like, my
lives
nephew's in this
Queens
neighborhood,
or
and
whatever.
I don't want those weapons in this
And
hood.
there's a fan theory out there that his nephew is going to be Miles.
Well,
Yeah, I've heard that too.
They told us pretty clearly, like, Miles is going to be tied to this film somehow.
Right.
Yeah. I thought that Donald Glover was criminally underused.
Oh, totally.
The scene was amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it was an hilarious scene.
He was
Stephanie,
super underbilled, so of
Yeah.
course they're like, if you don't give Donald
But they-
Glover top billing,
they
that's
made
because
him.
they're
They
only...
made such a big deal when they announced him.
Right.
And I'm
I
like,
didn't hear that. So,
oh, they
so
did.
To me,
I mean,
I was
it
like,
was
I
a
didn't
big,
even know
it
he
was a big
gonna be
thing.
here.
Well, yeah.
just
I
got
can
thrown.
totally get that. If you don't know he's gonna be in that,
I didn't
he
know
just
he was
shows
going to
up.
be in
Right.
it. I was like,
just a
Donald
cameo
Glover,
of
I
a
love
great
Donald Glover.
actor.
It's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But like, I was going in
no,
there
we gotta fix
expecting like 10 minutes of him
Right. He was barely in it.
doing something. Now, again, the scenes he was in
He
were really
played-
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played that character so well. He's like, you haven't done this before. He's like,
Yeah, that
he's
was
like
so
being
great.
helpful. And he's like, no, I got ice cream.
I have
in
ice
here.
cream. That was the
I
best.
can't. You gotta come fix this. He's like, it'll wait over 2 hours. Bye. You're a criminal. You deserve this. I'm like, he just helped you, you punk. Go back and fix it.
I would love to see Miles show up, though. I think that'd be a
Yeah,
lot of fun for
that'd
them
be
to go through that story arc, too.
Yeah.
You gotta get better at this part of the job.
I don't understand. I'm intimidated.
Final scene of Peter Parker
Okay.
at the new Avengers headquarters.
Oh yeah,
Amazing.
that was great.
It was
Well,
exactly
okay.
what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, me too.
I was so happy to see her back. I'm like,
Pause.
she's
Yeah.
back. Thank God.
and are they getting married? That was a weird little
Maybe.
thing.
She was so unimpressed too.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been carrying this around since 2008. I'm like, that's when the first movie came out. How delightful.
Yeah.
And then she's like, please, seriously, come on, we gotta go. And I was like, after like 9 years of dating the guy and 10 years of working for him before that, like, you don't care?
Yeah.
I'm
There's a
like-
story there with Potts.
Yeah.
And we didn't hear it.
I
you know.
mean,
We'll never hear it.
Yeah.
There's like a real life story about her not being in some of the films.
Right.
And then they spun that in. Yeah, when she showed up again, I was like,
Yeah, I was glad to see her back. That was cool.
it made me real happy.
And it makes me really excited for Infinity War, where I assume we'll see him in his new suit.
Yes.
Because I love that for his probably the next standalone films, he's going to be in that very cloth,
Right.
that kind of the old school suit, which I love.
Yeah.
But when he's going to be teamed up,
Yeah.
he's going to get this
That sweet new one.
sexy new with the gold. Oh Lord,
Yeah. It was pretty sweet.
so good.
Yeah, and I like that he didn't get the new suit because Tony gives him a new suit at the end.
Right.
But it's not the new suit; it's the one he had before.
Yep.
So I kind of like that they did that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets a cool suit, so he's not in the really horrible like cut off
Hoodie
hoodie
suit,
and
yeah.
really weird eye things.
The
and,
goggle things that he made himself.
I actually
Yes.
really like that he did the whole final, the climax of the movie in that suit.
Yeah.
In his suit,
Right.
not
Yeah,
Tony's suit.
Exactly.
It proved again that he did deserve it.
Yep.
And when Tony said that, I was like, that's such, like, nobody is more qualified to say that line. Like,
Right.
if you're not a hero without the suit, then you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's great. That's not just some, like, mentorly BS that some
Yeah.
old guy is spewing. Like, that's Tony Stark, who is nothing without his suit. Like,
Right.
and
Right.
he had that crisis in a previous film that we saw where he's like, the suit isn't Iron Man. I'm Iron Man. I can do this. Like,
Right.
I loved that little, like, that was so self-aware of him, and that was, like, really heartfelt mentoring there, that it was, like,
Yeah.
legitimate.
I'm gonna need the suit back.
But I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
You had mentioned earlier Homecoming in comparison to the other Spider-Man films. Let's take a real quick deep dive into that.
Okay. I feel like I need to see it again.
Yeah?
I really liked it. I really liked it, but it's not my new favorite.
Sure.
Okay.
I think my favorite would probably have to be probably the first Tobey Maguire and the first Andrew Garfield. I'd have to pick between one of those two as my favorites.
I appreciate each of the series for what they do differently.
Right.
But I just thought that this one really encapsulated what it meant to be a high schooler.
I agree.
And that's why I love it.
Yeah.
Again, nothing again. I mean, you can totally love number 1 and 2.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to argue that this is the most realistic high school Peter Parker.
Sure.
Like it's easy to see this is just a normal high school kid, and that's one of the strengths of this film. I think because it's very easy to see him as a normal kid.
And that everybody knows that, like, there's something really wrong, and nobody thinks, like, you're a superhero or something. Everyone is like, whatever you're dealing with, like, I really hope you get it figured out. Like, everybody, like, they never say it explicitly that I'm aware of, that I remember, but that pretty much everyone is like, this kid's on drugs. Like, this kid is sneaking out, and he's ditching all these classes,
Yeah.
and he's doing drugs, like, he's lying, but nobody's like, he must be Spider-Man. Like,
Right.
everyone's like, he must be doing drugs, because what's realistic for a 4.0 student who's, like, going places to just, like, stop showing up
Just
for
crash.
classes? Like,
Yeah.
that's drugs and or depression. And so everybody is treating him like another kid with drugs, with drug abuse and or depression. They're like, man, I hope you get that figured out. Not like, I hope you get that figured out. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
I'm excited to see how they handle the love story moving forward too, because I feel like that's another thing that this one didn't develop as much as the other two on
Sure,
purpose.
sure.
But like that's when you have Mary Jane, and you have oh my gosh,
She
I'm
just
drawing a
seems
blank.
so different in
Yeah.
this one than anything we've seen before. And it'll
Right.
be interesting to see how they build that relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
I so loved that she flipped him the bird that one time.
Yeah.
That was so great to me.
She has a lot of good
I'm from
little liners.
California, where like that's a big part of just driving. Even, I mean, you have to be very callous to it. Everybody's always doing that, so I was like, oh, it's adorable.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's that time again. It's time for our final 5 words.
Yeah!
On Spider-Man Homecoming.
You brought it up yourself. Good for you.
Gentlemen, what are your final 5 words?
Oh, I helped this old lady and she bought me a churro. So, that was nice.
I'm gonna go funny, heartfelt, authentic, clever, fresh.
Ooh. Okay.
Because I think at this point it was hard to do Spider-Man in a way that was fresh.
It's true.
Yeah.
I have 4 words. Can I have 4 words?
You can have 4
I'll
words.
throw an extra one in.
Yeah, just throw an
Yeah,
extra
you can
one
just
in.
be like toast at the end. Like it's 5 toast. It just has to be 5.
I miss Andrew Garfield.
Oh.
Okay, but here's the thing. I love Andrew Garfield. You can
Okay was the 5th word.
Okay. I love Andrew Garfield again. And you can say I have a man crush on him, which I probably do.
That's okay.
But here's the thing. Above that, I also feel like if we could have taken Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and just thrown him into the MCU, I would have liked to see what they would have done with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this one, again, if we didn't have to go through the backstory again, I feel like this film would have been stronger. If we didn't have to have the mystery of Uncle Ben and what happened with the Spider-Man, if we could just jump in, we know who he is, we know what happened, that would be interesting to me to see how does that character fit in with this big universe. The weaknesses that I saw were because it had to build the same story that we've heard so many times before.
Yeah.
So if it could have started from there, I wish we could have seen what would have happened in that world. But I still loved it, and you should still go see it.
My sentence is too long.
This guy. I'm the one who double majored in English, and he's over here trying to like
This
make a
guy
proper
can't make
sentence.
sentences.
Oh! Hashtag burn. It's across the bottom. Burn.
Oh, it's at 6.
You can have one of my words. I only use 4.
You only use 4. Can I use what it is?
You can throw in an extra word if you're gonna use 4. Just can't be 6. We're gonna have to use a second VHS tape to film this.
Ooh, I got it.
Okay.
All right. Here we
There's
go.
a lot of build-up for this.
Brett
I'm on the
has
edge of my
5
seat.
words.
My 5 words for Spider-Man Homecoming. Finally, a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Oh, that's good. That is good. We got to end it right there. You can't beat that.
And that's our review of Spider-Man Homecoming. Did you agree with us? What did we get wrong? What was your favorite moment? Let us know in the compliment section or
You're
comment
totally allowed
section.
to abuse the compliment section if you absolutely have to tell us what we did wrong.
Yeah.
Feel free.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you that right. It's a gift
Or
for you.
hit us up on Twitter at RYE Studios. You can find me, Brightson.
Tedley70.
At Matt Ersman.
Till next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
Can't you just be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
Hey, where are you going? I'm just kidding, I don't care. Bye.
Cap is just in there a bunch. That's
Cap-
like hilarious.
Those were
He's
so
hilarious.
funny.
This is so great.
The second scene, right? The second and post-credit scene.
Yes,
that was
yes.
so
I was
good.
like, what a load of crap. And you can see like he's wearing his costume, but you can see that Chris Evans is not in Cap shape. Because it's like, I mean, I've already got it without a mask pushing it forward, but like, you can see that Chris Evans is like, I'm doing a role as a very sedentary character right now.
He just finished a romantic comedy, so
Yeah.
Chris Evans did. So he's like, oh,
He's like,
sure,
I
I'll put the
only,
suit on.
I only have to like look sexy in a t-shirt. And like, there's the one shot of my stomach when probably he does something he shouldn't have.